acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our hope. Amen. Wanderer, there is no road. The road is made by walking. By walking, we make the road, and upon glancing behind, see the path that never will be trod again. It's on my arm. It's from a Spanish poet named Antonio Machado. It's one of my favorite quotes, hence it being on my arm. In fact, it's on my arm next to this, if you can see that, but it's actually from an illuminated manuscript, medieval manuscript. It's plain song, the sort of original music, monks sing plain chant. And it's actually Ubi caritas et amor Deus ibi est, which is, it's the plain song, and the words are, where there is love, there is God also. This reminds me of when I was a musician back in the day, and being a choir boy and all that, we sang plain song and stuff like that, and sang in Latin, things like that. And this is a beat, because I hate beats. I have tried them, just so we're clear about that. I tried them as a kid, but I've never really liked beats. I think they're horrible things, and I think they're just a turnip somebody beat with a stick until they bled. So I don't like them, but it does remind me that even though I don't like to eat them, that doesn't mean that they aren't worthy of love, because God loves all things. This is a heart. This is Lori and I got these heart tattoos in Toronto the first time we went to visit my family. And as you probably are aware, Lori has the corresponding, exactly the same tattoo on the opposite arm, so that when we hold hands, our hearts touch. I know. And this is, Lori also has this one, I think, which is love, faith, and hope, which is sort of the most recent part of, well, that's what all of these are about, right? It's the journey, the life journey. I'm sure you all have tattoos that tell that story. I think it's just you and me, Alita. It's just us, yeah, okay, yeah. But that's the thing, that quote about we make the road by walking is sort of in the middle of these, and connect to all of these other ones that are sort of part of telling the story of my journey. And because that's what our life is like. Our life is a journey. Our life is the road that we make. And, of course, as you look back on your life, you can't go back there. You remember those experiences and those moments and those people. You reconnect with them. But you can't go back there, because you have already moved forward. We're constantly in motion. That's the journey. We're constantly moving. Life is a journey. I know that's cliche, but it's a cliche because we say it so often, because it's true. Life is journey. Or, if you're a Tom Cochrane fan, life is a highway. And you should all be Tom Cochrane fans, because he's a great Canadian artist, and you should know that song from memory. I think that's just you and me, Jason. Yeah, okay. But honestly, listen to the song, because the song is true, too. That our life is like that. We perceive our life as this journey, this constant motion of traveling through our life, and we meet people, and we have experiences, and things happen, and that's what helps to form who we are. Because once we've had those experiences, met those people, they are part of who we are. We're all connected, and we remember. Right? We're constantly reconnecting with those things. We might even find that we're constantly reconnecting with those things without actually realizing it, right? Another cliche is, I suddenly realized I was doing what my father always did, or my mother always did. I was being so-and-so, right? That's another cliche. It's because we're suddenly remembering. We're reconnecting. It's part of our journey. It's part of our journey. So here's a story. Here's a story about two guys we don't know. They're followers of Jesus, but we've not ever met them before. One of them is named Cleopas or Cleophas. The other one is not named. I'm going to call him Robin. And they are on a journey from Jerusalem to a place called Emmaus, which, by the way, archaeologists don't know where it is. There's some good guesses, some pretty solid guesses, but the only information is that we have that this town is relatively 11 kilometers from Jerusalem in some direction on a road. But we don't know exactly where it is. And they meet this stranger, this person they don't know, on the way to this place that they... So, two people we don't know meet a person we don't know on a way to a place we don't know. That sounds like my life right now. Probably sounds like yours too, at some point. Right? We all have that experience. What we do know from this conversation is a couple of little details that are really important. One is that these two people have had an experience which has changed their life, and they are grieving the loss of someone. And that when they meet this stranger then tells them stuff. This stranger tells them things that changes their life. They don't realize it at first. In fact, they seem to not realize it until that stranger appears to be revealed to them as someone they know, someone they are in fact grieving the loss of because they're dead, except they're not. All of the Gospels have these little stories, post-resurrection stories of people meeting Jesus. The Marys who go to the tomb meet Jesus. Mary Magdalene meets Jesus. She thinks it's a gardener, but it's not. It's Jesus. It probably is a gardener, but it's Jesus. The disciples meet Jesus when he appears to them all at the same time, except for Thomas, who was probably out telling people about Jesus. And in other words, we have all these stories of the disciples, the people we know, meeting Jesus. And here's finally, here's a story of people we don't know meeting Jesus. Well, actually, except now I do know one of them because I made one of them me. You should too. Because I think that's the point of the story. These two followers of Jesus are leaving Jerusalem, heading somewhere else on their journey. And the words that they say to this stranger that they meet when they're telling them about Jesus is, "We had hope that he was the one." It almost feels like they had hope, but they do not now. And then Jesus restores their hope. That might have been in that moment where Jesus reveals himself to be Jesus, or they finally see that it's Jesus. It could have been in the moment in which the person is explaining to them all about the Messiah and the scriptures and revealing to them all of these things that they need to know. The point is that while they headed off on this journey thinking that they had lost someone, they hadn't. They still could have hope because Jesus is alive. They knew that, I think, when they met the stranger who told them stuff. I think they knew that, and I think they realized that too in this story because they say, "Remember how we were feeling when that person was telling us stuff?" I'm sure we've all had moments in our lives, on our journeys, where we've met somebody who's had that effect. We've had a moment where we've either met someone or had an experience that has been transformative right in that moment. We might have not have realized it right in that moment. We might have realized it later, sometimes much later. Sometimes it takes somebody poking us with a stick to point it out to us. But we have those experiences where we meet someone or have an experience where it changes our lives. We're on a journey and we are transformed. I think of all of these post-Easter stories, this is one of the most important ones because it's the story that reminds us that wherever we are on our journey, Jesus is walking with us. Not just on Easter Day, And by the way, let's remember Easter's a season. That's why this is the third Sunday of Easter. It's a season. But in fact, Easter is 365 days of the year, every year. It's every moment. The idea of new life, the idea of Jesus present with us on our journey is every moment. Much like all of the other characters, the ones that we know, who we know darn well should have known better because they'd spent so much time with Jesus. They, A, as the angel pointed out, should have known he was going to be alive, and B, why didn't they recognize him right away? They knew him. They had spent time with him. Why didn't they recognize him right away? I don't want to say this of the two people on this journey either, or of any of us, but it certainly seemed like they had hoped too, and that hope had ended. But I wonder if instead it wasn't ended, it was simply covered in a way that allowed for this spectacular moment of reveal, where we could finally see. Wherever we are in our journey, I don't honestly think it's a question of Jesus revealing himself to us or God revealing God's self to us. It's a question of us being open to seeing. Because God is in all of us. God is in all of creation. It's really easy sometimes to read these stories, I think, and go, yeah, we know that character. In fact, we've made them saints. In fact, they go on in the book of Acts, right? They all become great. In fact, we have great and famous traditions about all of the disciples. Enough tradition and enough saintliness that we, put them somewhere. But here's a story where we can be this person who's not named. Why make them someone else? Why not make them us? And walk with Jesus. And maybe, just maybe, our eyes will be open too, to seeing Jesus not only in the people that are around us, but in the world that's around us. In all things that are alive, because the Spirit of God is in all living things. Wouldn't the world be a different place if we could all see that, know that, feel that, encounter it every day?